Hey guys, I had a special interest day, so I wanted to share with you some of my findings here. A lot of you guys play League. I am a Doter, and some of you guys have been asking why I think I like Dota a little bit more, and I didn't really know the answer besides it's just more complex, and I didn't really know how much of a difference some of these things could be. So I wanted to break down the economics of the game. So, in both games, there is something called attack damage. There is attack speed, there's health, mana, armor, magic resist, move speed, ability damage. We'll come to that. That's special. Mana regen, health regen. Those are the basic stats that every character, not champion or hero, character that you can play in both games, they can have. They have a certain starting amount. Each character gets fluctuating things. Some are good at attacking from range, some aren't. Some are really tanky, some aren't. You know the drill. In these games, we can buy items to make our characters stronger. In order to do that, we need money. So, this first table is the base gold efficiency of the stats of each game. Generally, League is much cheaper. Sometimes to the point of almost being a full two times, or sorry, half the price is maybe a better way to say. So attack damage. To do one extra point of attack damage in Dota 2, technically, it's 50 gold. And you gotta love the names of Dota. What does a longsword do? Could do a lot of things. It could make my range a little bit longer because longsword. But blade of attack. You have no question of what it is. Gloves of haste, okay, that kind of sounds like a speed item, right? But okay, attacking faster. Dagger, why does a dagger attack faster? So anyway, I know you guys love making fun of these names. That's why I put some of the names in here because I do think they're funny. Cloak, it's literally just a cloak. This is like null magic mantle. It's like both of these games have funny names for things. It's okay. But in general, it's really expensive to have items. Like it is really hard. It's 3 times as hard to have mana. So it's but there's a lot of ways in Dota to get mana back very fast that aren't built into this. There's items that you just click a button and you will get 400 mana back or 300 mana back. And it's an AoE. You can give it to everyone on your team. Same thing as health. The same sort of item. You can click a button. You instantly give everyone around you 300 health. I know there's items like that in League, but in general, base stats or yeah, I guess these base stats are really expensive. I did not know how expensive it is to get armor. It is 4 times, over 4 times the price to get one base of armor. And if I'm correct in looking at all the breakdowns, armor works the same between the two games. So the damage penalty or the damage negation, I guess, works the same. Same with magic resist. It's just a percentage off of the damage spell. Move speed, again, from what I can tell, the games use the same units. Now, the map itself, way different size. Dota is probably scaled 1.5, maybe 1.6 times the size of League. There's so many more things on the map. Now you have objectives and things for me casting, but that I'll probably break down in another secondary part. But just for this breakdown, movement speed is about the same. Now this ability damage, there is no AP ability power in Dota. There are 3 items I think that break that idea, and they give you just a flat percentage spell amp. to it, and the Kaya is one of the main ones that if you are a spellcaster you would build, specifically if you're more of a mid. Gives you 10% damage amp, and you're paying basically the 2100 gold. You get some other stuff in there, but you're really buying it for the damage amp. Imagine spending the equivalent of a support item in League for 16 int, gets you a little bit of mana regen, maybe some damage if you're a spellcaster, and then it gives you the damage amp. That's what it's so different once we start breaking down the big numbers. So here is the base price. Again, regen. Look at the regen. Health regen. Health regen. I don't like 140 divided by 3. It's just insane. So much more expensive for all these what I would consider basic abilities or basic stats. But here's the big kicker. So in Dota, there are 3 stats. 3 stats that are equivalent or on top of your other base stats. So strength. Strength gets you 22 HP. Basically a 10th an HP regen. So every 10 seconds you get 1 HP back, which is not awful, but pretty negligible. And then if you are specifically a strength hero, you get 1 damage. So most of the time, if you're a tank, you've got strength. If you are a heavy hitting melee hero, you are also building strength, which inherently makes you tankier. You can build the other stats, but you will not get damage from it. So someone like in League of Legends terms, that would be a more strength carry, so to speak, would be like a Garen. Garen would want to build strength, but Garen also likes attack speed because he gets an attack speed buff on his spin. He would never want to build int because int gives him mana. Wouldn't work, right? There's heroes like that in League. There are no heroes in Dota that have a non mana pool. That's another big difference. There's only mana. There's never like an energy or like, I mean, obviously you got different cooldowns, whatever. Agility is mainly the attack, like the ADC role. They build agility. Agility gives you 1 attack speed. Now, again, I think attack speed works the same between the 2 games, but I'm not 100%. Dota has a really complex attack speed algorithm, but anyway, just pretend it's the same for now. So basically 1% attack speed, you get, I don't know what that is, a 16th, or no, not a 16th, an 8th of an armor, or a 6th of an armor, sorry. And you get 1 damage if you are an agility-based hero. And then for intelligence, again, you're a spellcaster. You get 12 mana, basically nothing. That's not even, for most heroes, that's not even a 10th of a spell. 0.05 mana regen, again, so slow. Yeah, awful. And then 0.1% MR, or magic resist. So inherently, as a spellcaster, you are also better at negating spell damage. This I did not know. I did not know intelligence had built-in magic resist until doing this. And then you get the 1 damage if you are an intelligence hero. So based off these, again, each hero has built-in scaling off of these extra stats that basically give you 3 or 4 other stats. Again, Dota's really complex, doesn't matter. But that gives you a little bit of insight as to why health regen so expensive to buy as a stat, but inherently through strength is really relatively not that more expensive. But it is more expensive than League for sure. I'm like whiting out. Why am I? Okay, so now we're gonna go over the general item differences here. Let me get you over so you can see it. So I took each item from Dota, League of Legends, put them into 3 categories: starting items that you would take into lane, basic items that you would build as like components, or partial items that you would have into like the really early game, and then finished items is anything that you would use as like a permanent slot. So like, you know, fully finished, death cap, whatever. Yeah, all the items that just because Dota has so many items that upgrade again, like a second time, um, I also added those in. So think like Hourglass. You know how there's the component that gives you the active ability of Hourglass, and it's a little bit worse. It's kind of high price for the fact that it gives you no stats, but you know, something like that is very common in Dota. Most, I would say, like 8 out of 10 finished items actually have a lower variant version of that item that builds into it, or it takes 2 of them, 2 smaller items, and puts them together at the end. Anyway, so the average item difference here, starting items for Dota, way cheaper because you normally 6 slot at the beginning of the game. You will build things like health potions, tangos that help you heal in the lane. You eat trees. I know that's really weird, but basically healing stuff for the lane. Whereas League, you buy a 1 item, maybe a health pot, and a ward. You know, you get your free ward, and that's it. In Dota, we got to buy those. So that also counts. You can see how many 50, 65, 100. Most of these are really, really cheap. And most of the time, if you're spending money on buying anything above 250 on 1 item, this is all grief territory. Technically, you can do it. But griefing territory if you buy a fully finished Wraith Band at starting. Most of the time, that's griefing. Just because it's bad. It's really inefficient. You also need lots of regen in the game because everyone has bad regen. So you have to buy regen built into the stats, built into the basic items that you can buy. Basic items, little bit more expensive. There's a lot of basic items that are in the 700, 800 range in Dota, but technically there are a lot more of what is it? Needlessly large rod. There's like 10 of those in Dota. That are like 1800 gold, 1300 gold, 2800 gold for components. Don't even get me into recipes. This doesn't call into account recipes. That is the difference between the basic item here and the finished item here. Most of this gold difference between these two for Dota is, okay, yes, you get the upgraded item. Most of the time it gives you a little bit better stats. It gives you a little bit better active, blah, blah, blah. But like most items have like a 1600 gold item that's a piece of paper. Literally, you buy a piece of paper as a recipe to finish your item. Now, I think they had to do that because you have a courier in Dota 2, and you don't have to, but you should be sending items to yourself in the lane. And I think the only way they could have that where like every item just doesn't finish like instantly when you buy something, they had to do recipes in order for it to really work out with the whole courier system. Now, because of League, you're teleporting home, and you're always buying only in the shop. It kind of makes sense that they would rather build it into the item price and not have a recipe, because you're never just going to want to sit on a recipe and walk out of base. Then you've got max item difference. And there's multiple of these in Dota. There are 3 flash items in the game that are 6,800 gold. Then you have this as the highest one, Wind Waker at 6825. Almost twice the price of a Death Cap. Death Cap gives you so much damage. It scales off of other items, all this stuff. No active, but hey, that passive, hard to beat, right? This is why League games are done so quickly. If you're getting 50% CS in Dota, that is nuts. You are doing insanely well if you're getting 50% CS, constantly farming, doing well. You also have a first tower and you have 2 kills. The difference between these two, not that big. You're only talking like 150 gold. Not that much, right? Difference in items. This is probably your starting items, gold and you know, lots of regen and everything. You're probably just barely getting one real item at 15 minutes. And that's pretty common. Like most carries, they're really, really lucky. Like they're having a crazy timing if they're getting their first 2,800, 3,200 gold item at like 13, 12 minutes. That's like nuts. That's for most people, that's pretty nuts. League, you're almost done with your second item. That is the difference in gold. 15 minutes, you're walking around with your boots, you're with a full item, and you're halfway through your second. That's really the main difference. I didn't even think about the fact of boots. So you're probably not even actually done with your full set of boots and with your full first item at 15 minutes with this CS. Now, this doesn't take into account farming the jungle because that's so complex. I didn't want to try and compare it, but in theory, Dota has so much more gold on the map than League could ever imagine. But in this case, we're just pretending it's 280 carries. They have no jungle next to them. They have nothing else to farm. This is what it is. So then 30 minutes. Well, okay, 1 to 2 items, that's not that crazy. 30 minutes, still hitting that 50% CS. In this case, you have 6 kills, and you've taken 3 tier 1 towers, so you've taken, you know, the first on each lane. In this case, you have more gold, 100 more gold now in Dota. You are still down more than a full item by 30 minutes. 30 minutes, you're lucky if you have 2 items complete, and your boots and your, yeah, that's about it. That's about it. League, you have 4 completed items and probably your boots. I mean, a tenth of whatever the average is. 2,800. Yeah, that's boots for sure. So, I mean, it's brown boots, but you got boots at least, right? So big difference still, even in the late game. You're always a full item behind League. Now, here is where a lot of the big differences come in. Starting gold, yes. Dota has more. You're spending it on items that give you way less stats. We talked about that. The starting items themselves are a lot cheaper. So you're able to kind of pick and choose 6 slot yourself. Because you have so many options. League, you have less. League's gold per minute. I did not know this. League's gold per minute does not change, no matter what. 122 gold per minute. Now, the Dota gold per minute is way less passively, but it goes up over time. So, 1 minute, at 1 minute into the game, 90 gold per minute. Kind of awful. That's like, if that feels like 4 last hits in either of the games. 30 minutes in, you're barely cracking 100. You've gone up 10 gold per minute at 30 minutes. Kind of feels bad. When we even out is when we get to minute 87. 87 minutes in, we finally hit the 122, 24 mark. Based off of what time. I think it's like every 12 minutes the gold goes up. So something like that. I don't know. Just from what I can find, this is when you break over the league thing. So 87 minutes, that's when you're finally getting the same amount of gold per minute as your support or griefing mid Yasuo. Hi, that's me. That's sitting mid, not getting a single CS. At least they're getting 122 gold. So gold per wave at minute 1. This is converted into gold per minute. There is a lot more gold in Dota, but if you didn't know this, you can deny the enemies creeps, or minions in this case. And that obviously blocks the gold. If you miss a creep, you still don't get the gold, just like in League. But you also miss out on half of the XP, which is massive in lane. Imagine being able to teleport your enemy mid laner away for like a half a second to miss the CS, come back. That's basically what denying is. So even though there's 350 gold per minute more, in reality, 90% of the time, the Dota players are not hitting it. So it's 100 gold more. 15 minutes in, League goes up a little bit. It's like every 7 minutes, the minion gets 1 more gold per minion. It's not very good scaling. So by 15 minutes, 150 gold difference. 30 minutes, it's 180. Obviously, it keeps going up. I didn't want to do 87 minutes here. That just too much. But 30 minutes in, that's the average League game, right? Maybe 40 minutes. But the difference is that in League, it's a lot easier just to sit on top of your enemies, creep wave, and just blast them all. You also have a lot more creeps. At the beginning of the game, for Dota, there's only 4 creeps per wave, which is 4 opportunities. In League, you have 6. So it's like, okay, if you miss 2, you still at least have over 50%. You have to hit 2 out of 4 to get 50% CS for this. And yes, the range minion is worth a lot more, 11 gold more than the melees, whereas in Dota, the range creeps are worth less, the melees are more. So like the strategy is a little bit different. You kind of don't want to overextend. You try to deny the range creep and take the melees in Dota, whereas most of the time in League, you just run to the back, start hitting the range creeps, and then once the melees are meleeing, you just start poking the other hero, right? First Blood, I did not know this change, but First Blood taken out of League. Did not know that. There's still a First Blood pop-up. There's still the noise, all that stuff. But you do not get extra gold for First Blood. League, though, you get a lot more gold per hero kill. Now, this makes Dota look kind of bad because this is the base. Again, Dota's very complex, made by illogical nerds, so they wanted to make it over logical. It's based off of how much net worth the enemy has and like how many levels higher they are than you and how much money they have on them as well. It's like too many things. I just put in the base hero kill. Most of the time you will get closer to like 200, probably like 250. Late game you might get more like 400 per kill. But base League, you get a kill in lane, you get a like one of your basic items, right? You get a long sword, a dagger, something like that. Dota, you're like scraping by. You pay for a 1 health potion in Dota. So kills are worth a lot less. First Blood is worth almost the same amount, 260 instead of 300, but that's the gold difference there. The other gold difference is League now has turret plating. I did play a little bit when turret plating first came out. I always thought it was kind of broken because you could just play heroes that push lanes and then just get 1 billion gold. I did not realize it's 1,000 gold. If you finish a full tower with plating before the, whatever it is, 13, 14 minutes are up, you get 925 gold. You also, if it's the first one taken, regardless of the time, I think this is just any tower, it's like first blood, 150 gold extra. So you can get almost 1100 gold from one tower. That is nuts. And the scaling obviously goes back to like your tier 2s. The second one I think is like, actually I can't remember if League has tier 2. I don't even, oh yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. So you've got the tier 1 all the way out that gets the plating. Tier 2 is only worth 300. That's a kill though. Still pretty good. Your inhibitor turrets are 400 gold, and then your Nexus turrets are also 400 gold. So a little bit more than a kill. Makes sense. Dota, this is again spread out gold to the rest of your teammates. So the 560, really, you as like personally are not going to get 300 gold. I think most of the time it's like 90 gold spread amongst the people, and then if you get the last hit, you get like 170 gold or something like that. So it, again, complex. I don't know why these people can just make it like a round even number. But as you get into the base, the towers are worth more as you go, which to me makes sense. I mean, League does that too, but the snowballing is there like crazy. It's almost, I'm not going to say it's double because it isn't double, but it is worth a lot more to one person if you take the first tower. Don't forget as well, tower plating can be spread amongst 3 different lanes. So really, we should be multiplying this by 3 because there's just so many plates to be had. Whereas there's only like 3. I mean, there's still 3 of each besides the Nexus turrets, but whatever. The other thing that was a big difference to making League, I think, a little more snowbally or whatever, is not if you yourself are on a killing streak, but you kill someone that is on a killing streak, you get a lot more gold. League actually has, probably should have added it, but this already was a lot. As soon as you kill an enemy that had 2 kills, not 3, just 2, there's not a pop-up that comes up, but you actually get 100 extra gold just by getting someone that either got a double kill or just has 2 kills in general. It's not a killing spree because that's a pop-up that will happen. As soon as you hit 3, that's a killing spree in League. So 200 gold, 60 Dota. 300, 100. 400, 150 for someone that's on a 5 kill streak. I mean, it is kind of hard in both games to get 5 kills, but I feel like in Dota especially, I feel like it's kind of hard to just keep getting this 5-person kill streak. Anyway, all the way up to 10. Even at 10, the difference for League, 350 gold more per kill. So in general, kills are worth double, if not over double, League. For League, I should say, in the favor of League. Whereas, and the snowballing of the first tower is worth more. In general, in the late game, the towers for Dota way more money, especially again if you multiply this by 3, a lot more money per tower. So it's a lot better to push in Dota and split push instead of just going for kills. Hence why in a game where you're down like 40 kills and the other team seems like they're unkillable, as long as you have gold, you can always come back in Dota. This also does not even take into account there is a 60%. This is when you're like 0-40 as a team. It's 20 minutes in. They're running into your base. You have nothing left to lose. You have a 60% bonus on top of these listed. You have a 60% increase to all of these, which I think they try to show you in game. Like Dragon gets a bounty, Towers get bounties, Baron gets bounty, like everything gets bounties. And I think that's what this is. It can go up to 60. It's a dynamic percentage, blah, blah, blah. There is a whole Wikipedia page about it. the amount of money you get in League is so astronomically outmatched. The passive gold plus the kill gold, it's so much better to just be a killing team in League versus a pushing team. Obviously, you like that first kind of buff of tower money, but like everything else is about getting kills, which I think is probably a little more fun. There's still objectives that you can take. There's dragon, blah blah blah, that's worth money that I didn't account for. There's jungle that I didn't account for. But the difference in killing, I think, definitely pushes you to be more aggressive in League, um, and feel really bad when you're down like 8 kills, because in League that's basically a death sentence. In Dota, that's only more the reason for you to be able to come back at some point. But yeah, anyway, I hope this is interesting to at least one of you. I'll try and break down some more of the differences between like some of the specific items, like more into like kind of like this, where I'm trying to break down like Kaya, and try and help you guys understand what that actually does compared to like ability power, because that's probably the biggest difference between spellcasters in Dota and League. It's a lot more about mana management and resetting cooldowns in Dota versus actually being able to do like build up items and doing 1,000 damage. Base spells in Dota do a lot of damage, but they all cost like a fifth of your mana bar, a fourth of your mana bar to do one spell. And you'll cast one thing, then you got to go stand in the bushes, pop a motion, pop a mana potion, and just sit there and hope you don't get auto attacked. There's so many other things that I could go into, but I thought this was like the easiest way to explain just the gold difference wise, why Dota takes so long to build up items, and it feels slow. And I know to some people that's not a positive thing. For other people, that's a positive thing. Yeah. Anyway, uh, yeah. Tell me what you thought.